ahead of myself and getting ready for that. Everyone understand what I'm doing there, though? Okay. Okay. So let's go ahead and put this on screen briefly by creating a modal segue from here to here. And I just want to show you a little bit about these text fields. So I'm just going to have this guy right here go like this. And instead of push, I'm going to do modal. Okay? So that's going to put this thing on screen modally. This is a modal segue right here. This, for example, we could call it the add photo segue. Okay? I'll probably skip even checking that identifier. But anyway, let's go ahead and run. So we can get this thing on screen, and I can show you something about the text field. So here we go. Here's our camera, and when I click this, it comes up on screen modally. Now, one thing about modal, you better have a way to get rid of it. Okay, we haven't wired any of this up. This is, my app is done now. I can't get back. Okay, so I have to either unwind or I have to cancel myself. Okay, but we're not doing that right now. What I'm doing now is I want to look at these text fields. So if I click here, title, okay, and I could start typing in a title here, and I'm like, okay, that's what I want the title to be. Oh, I can't get rid of this. Okay, there's no way to get rid of this keyboard. Okay, there's nowhere I can click. There's nothing I can do. This thing is all up, and my photo is underneath it, so I can't see my photo. Okay, this is awful. So I really want to be able to dismiss this keyboard when I hit return here. So we can do that using the UI text fields delegate. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, we're going to go here, and I'm going to do something a little interesting we haven't done before, which is I'm going to wire up a delegate in the storyboard. Normally we would do this in code, like when the setter for that text field was called, we'd say we'd say text field.delegate equals self. But here I'm going to do it by control dragging from the text field down to my view controller, and when I do, you'll see that I can set its delegate. Okay? So I'm setting the text field's delegate to be my view controller. I'll set the other one too. So both of these guys, if you right-click on them, you'll see that their delegate is my add photo view controller. Now, I still have to, in my add photo view controller, right here, I still have to say, oh yes, I'm a UI text field delegate. Okay? Right? Now, again, all these methods are optional, so it really wouldn't be that big a deal if I didn't. But still, just to be proper, I should do that. And now I can implement some of these ones. Like a good one here would be should, what's it called? Text field should return. So here's some of the text field ones. These ones to return bool. So let's do text field should return. Okay? And so if the text field asks me, should I return? I'm going to say, yes, you should return, meaning if you have target action that fires when you return, go ahead and do it. But I'm also going to say, Mr. Text Field, please resign first responder. In other words, stop using the keyboard. Okay? So just by putting this in here, now when we run, and bring this baby back up, and we click here, and we start typing, and we hit return, it leaves the text in there, even does its little fixing the misspellings, and the keyboard goes away. Okay? And I can bring this one back and make this one go away. So it's a much nicer UI to be able to make that keyboard go away, especially if you have something underneath the keyboard and you don't scroll it up. Okay? So I just wanted to show you that just to show you how we can A, set the text delegate in the storyboard, and B, how we could use a delegate method to do something valuable. Okay? So that's all I'm going to show you for text field. I think you can figure out the rest on your own. All right, so now let's get back to the segueing, okay? So we have this guy right here, and it segues to here. So we already set up this modal segue, but we don't actually prepare it, nor can we unwind from it. So we really haven't finished with the whole relationship between these two view controllers. So let's first look at the public API of this modal view controller to kind of understand how it's going to communicate. So I'm going to look at the public API of add photo view controller, and it really has two things. It has an input, which is the photographer who is taking the photo. Okay? Now, hopefully we always pass in the user, right, that special photographer. But this add photo view controller can be more generic than that and just say, hey, give me a photographer, I'll take a photo and add it to the database for that photographer. But we're going to have our map, photos by photographer map view controller. If it's the user and that camera button gets pressed, we're going to pass in the user's one. So that's the in. Okay, so that's import photographer. And we're also going to import photo while I'm here because this thing, this view controller also has an output, which is atomic strong, the photo that was added to the database. Oops, photo. Okay, so this is an add photo view controller. It adds a photo for that given photographer. And when it's done doing that, this will be set to the photo it added. So anyone who segues to it, when they unwind back, they can look and see what was the photo that was added. Does that make sense, what we're doing there? So we have to implement this API both on the way in and on the way out. So let's talk about on the way in first, because that's normal segueing that you're used to. We're just going to do this in our Photos by Photographer map view controller. And all we're going to do is prepare that segue. Okay, before we do that, let's go ahead and import our add photo view controller, because we're going to use it. We're going to prepare it. And so let's do that. And here's prepare for segue. This is a normal segue, just like any other segue. And I'm just going to prepare it. Let's say if the sender, or no, if the segue's destination view controller is kind of class add photo view controller, then add photo view controller equals yeah, you guys should not be using my bad style here, but that's demo naming right there. Segue.destination view controller. Okay, so now I have the view controller I'm segueing to here in this modal segue. So I'm going to set its photographer that's taking the photo equal to self.photographer. Now, this is always going to be the user because the only time that little camera button is there is when it's the user. Okay? But to be double safe here, maybe I would want to check and see is user, right? If self.photographer is user. But I'm not going to be double safe because it's a demo. Okay? So there, that's that segue. I'm still going to do this segue if the sender is an annotation. In other words, someone clicks on the pin. It's going to do that one too. I could probably put an else in here if I wanted to. Even else if, something like that. Okay, because obviously it's going to be one or the other. I also probably could have checked my segue's identifier here to make sure it's add photo. I can do that if I want to. But anyway, hopefully this side of this segue you totally understand, right? Okay, normal segueing, we're just doing it modally rather than not. Okay, so now we've got to it. Now the hard part, unwinding. Okay, so now we want to hear about it when the thing is done. Okay, and I told you that that's done by implementing a special IB action, okay, method, and we can call it anything we want. And what is going to happen in this unwinding? Well, a photo is going to be added, so maybe I'll call this method added photo, okay, because that's what it does. And the real key is that the argument is a UI storyboard segue. Oops. Okay, so this method is the method that's going to get called when we unwind. All right. Now, the very adding of this has caused Xcode to know about it, so that if we go back to our storyboard and wind up, control drag to hook up and unwind, it's going to know about it. So let's go do that. We're back in our thing here now. Cancel. Let's talk about cancel briefly. I'm going to make the executive decision that cancel is just going to dismiss. It's not going to unwind. All right, and I already have a cancel method right here. I already wired it up for target action. So how do I do that? Self.presenting view controller, presenting dismiss, yes. And this completion handler is called once the view controller is fully dismissed. In other words, after its view did disappear is called. We don't need to do anything at that time. Some people think this is more magic than it is. It's really just a simple way to, after this thing is gone, do something to clean up or something. But we don't need to do that. So anyway, so that's it. So that's cancel. So in fact, if we run right now, and we bring our photos and we go up here, cancel will work. You see, it just dismisses it. And it doesn't unwind. It doesn't call that added photo. It just cancels it. Gone. Okay? Now done, this is the one we want to unwind. We want it to create this photo and then unwind back to this map view controller right here and call added photo. Okay, what are we going to do when added photo is called? Well, let's see. Let's do a couple of things. One, let's make sure that the source of this is an add photo view controller, which it should be because it's the only thing we know how to unwind for, and also because who else would call added photo, but we'll check it anyway. And then we're going to do, I'm going to copy and paste this so I don't have to type all that again. Okay, now I'm just going to change, but this is the source view controller instead of the destination view controller. Okay, so I got my APVC. Now I'm going to say, okay, well, what was the photo that was added? Well, it's the APVC's added photo. That's part of its public API, the out of its public API. So I'm grabbing that out, and I'm going to say, if we added a photo, then what might I want to do? I'm the map view control. I'm showing photos by a photographer. So I probably want to do, for example, map view, add annotation, this added photo. In other words, add this photo to my map. I might also want to say self.mapView, show that annotation. Okay? Zoom in to that part of the world where the photo was taken. I might want to say, I probably want to say photos by photographer equals nil and have that recalculate because I've added a new photo for this photographer. So next time someone asks me about that, it'll work. Otherwise, for instructional purposes here, I'm going to log and say add photo view controller did not, or I'll even say unexpectedly, did not add a photo. Okay, because if I'm getting unwound to, it should have added a photo. Okay, so if this is nil, then something's wrong. Okay, so but we're going to see that happen because we're going to try this without the photo being added to the database and see what happens here. So everyone understands what's going on here, right? We're unwinding back to this guy. This guy is receiving the unwind and doing something with the photo that was added with the add photo. All right, so now let's go ahead and wire that up. So as I said, we're going to pick whatever UI in here is going to cause the unwind, which is the done button. I'm going to control drag to this green button, and when I let go, watch what happens. See how added photo is in the list? And every single IB action that had a UI storyboard segue as an argument would be listed here. Okay? But added photo, obviously the only one, is the one we want, so I'm going to click that. So now I've created an unwind that will unwind back to this guy. And I told you that the only place you can really see this is in the document outline. You can see it right here. See, unwind segue from done to exit. Okay? And I could, this is a normal segue, so I could set its identifier, for example, to something like do add photo or something like that, because that's what this unwind segue does. It does the add photo. It's the done, basically. Okay, but I wouldn't even need to do that. So let's go, well, I will need to eventually, but for this so far I didn't. So let's go ahead and see what happens here when we run this. Okay, so I'm going to go here, and I'm going to hit done this time, and we'll watch it unwind. Okay, it unwound, right? It dismissed it. Okay, and look down in my console down here. Add photo view unexpectedly did not add a photo, which is exactly what we expect, right? It unwound over to here, did this, but it never added the photo because I never take all the information here that's in my UI, like the title, the subtitle, the photo. I never put them into a photo and add it to the database. So it's right. This thing is properly reporting here that it did not add a photo. So let's do that. How do we do that? This is where prepare for segue is so important for unwinds. Okay? Because prepare for segue